Welcome back to the restoration of the 42-inch scissor deck. This cover is really the last thing I really need to work on. I worked on it some yesterday with wheel on my grinder, and got it down pretty good to the metal. Here's a section I need to fix, and there's some holes here and around the corner here. This isn't structural. What I'm going to do, I really couldn't find a good piece of metal. I had this old tin, this old cover for a Tecumseh engine, and I think it ought to be adequate thickness. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grind it down to metal first, get the paint off of it while it's in this manageable size, and then cut it out, and then I'm going to cut the holes out here, and I'm going to JB weld it in place. I don't know if this is going to work exactly. This is kind of an experiment because I don't have a welder presently, but we'll see if it works. Stay tuned. Okay, I've cut the piece of metal. I put a bend on it, just put it in my vise, marked it, nailed it over. I used some good old-fashioned duct tape on the back. That Gorilla version anyway, not necessarily old-fashioned. Put it in here. It is bent up underneath. I'm going to JB weld the top now, let that dry for 24 hours, JB weld the bottom, and then try to sand it down, and we'll see how it looks when we get done. Alright, I don't know how well you can see that. I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. If it dries that well, we'll JB weld the bottom and then sand her down. Put a little bit here and there. Also around on this side, I also JB welded those little holes that were over there. I didn't put any metal there, I just put the JB weld. Alright, thank you, stay tuned. Okay, got the belt cover back on. I put the belt cover on, had several of the bolts tightened, and I forgot about the little bracket that goes underneath for the belt around this pulley, so I had to take it back off, put that on. That's what happens when you get in too big of a hurry. At least I caught it now. Back on. This paint that I've used, this farm implement paint, you're really supposed to let it cure good. And I think the longer it sets, the better it's going to be. I was putting it on. Again, this isn't perfect, but my thumbnail caught that right there as I was tightening up this bolt and just scratched the paint. So, paint needs to cure good before it's put to any hard use. That's one reason I went ahead and painted the body of the deck. It's been painted for, I'm going to say, well over a month. And it isn't going to be perfect, and when it gets on the tractor, it's going to be dirtied up real quick, and rocks and things are going to hit it. That's okay. I just want a good functional deck. I didn't want it rusted down. I'm putting it on the 68. I wanted it to look, fairly decent, because the 68's a nice tractor. Most importantly, I want it to mow good. So we'll see how good it mows. Okay, here's the completed deck. Everything on. It's not perfect, but if you look back to the first installment of this series of videos, you'll see a major difference. I just put these arms, got these all on. I went ahead and put washers behind here to keep these from rattling, take up some of that space. I think it's going to do pretty well. Let me go underneath here and show you we just put a new set of blades on. The new blades are intact. I used a little bit of anti-seize lubricant, some Loctite here I've had for a long time on the bolts for that. I always do that with mower blades. If you've ever had one almost seize up or almost break getting it out, you'd probably do that too. I have R clips in a couple places. I put an R clip here and an R clip here, and I think that's probably the way it should be. Everything else has cotter keys. The reason those have the R clips, this is your adjustment for side to side, and this is your adjustment for the tilt. The front's going to be just static, and the rear will move up and down here. So I figured I'd make that to where that's a little more movable. Of course, you can move these bolts and it'll work, but I figured that'll make it a little bit easier for working. When I was assembling this, I put this backwards. This was flipped all the way around, and a couple things you can look at to obviously tell that's not the way it ought to be. For one thing, there's an angle on these. See what I did right there? That's because this section here was hitting that. I had that on wrong. And then also this part is welded to this side, not this side. If you turn that around, it pushes this way too far back. So that was just my mistake. Didn't really hurt too much. I'm pretty anxious to get this on the tractor. Something else I noticed here, and I boogered this up, is that's pretty close to hitting right here. And I'm out of adjustment. But I'll do something about that. It actually spins without hitting it now, so maybe just slightly. I'll see what I can do about that. Okay, the next video I'm going to show this putting it on the tractor, the 68, and if you can see on top of the 68 there's new brackets there. I'm going to show in that video how to convert the older mowers to the newer scissor decks. And I hope you stay tuned for that video. Alright, thanks so much for watching. You have a great day.